Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Cumberland School Committee meeting tonight, Thursday, December 11th, 2025, at 7:31 p.m. in the Cumberland High School Transitional Cafeteria. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Shea. Second by Ms. Feather. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes 6-0. Please note for the minutes that Ms. Goldstein is absent. Consent agenda. Approval of minutes for the regular meeting 11/13/2025. Executive session meeting 11/13/2025. Special executive session meeting 12/4/2025. Please know that should be 2025. Bus school inspection report 11/18/2025. Transportation report November 2025. Enrollment report 11/7/2025 revised. Enrollment report 12/5/2025. Residency and truancy report 12/4/2025. Any questions on the consent agenda? Ms. Smith?
I just have one question, and I'm not sure if Dr. Thornton can answer this or not. I noticed on the transportation that we seem to have more buses coming from Cumberland Hill that are late but within the 15-minute window. And I'm just wondering, is Durham doing some work on that to see if there's an issue at hand that we need to address?
Can check first thing in the morning and get back to you.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Shea.
Second.
Second by Ms. Smith. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes 6-0. Student government report, student government activities. Good evening.
Good evening. We appreciate the opportunity today to speak with you guys tonight and share some of the incredible work that our student government has been doing over the past few months. My name is Flynn Holmander, accompanied by my fellow student government here, Aiden Jason. So as many of you know, each year our students partner with John Johnson and the Happy Baskets program to help support families in our community during the holiday season. I'm proud to report that this year's efforts were outstanding. Through our school-wide food drive, student government helped collect enough donations to assist nearly 300 families for Thanksgiving. The level of generosity from our students, staff, and community was truly inspiring. And our students worked tirelessly to make sure every item was sorted, counted, and delivered on time. Following that, our annual Fill a Truck event was once again a tremendous success. Thanks to the dedication of our students and the support of the community, we filled the truck to maximum capacity, ensuring that the Happy Baskets program will have the resources it needs to continuing supporting families through the Christmas season as well. But our work doesn't stop there. Right now, student government is in the middle of our Adopt a Family toy collection. Each year, this initiative helps ensure that Cumberland families can give their children a joyful and memorable Christmas. Our students are collecting new toys, clothing, and other gifts to support as many local families as possible, and participation has already been incredibly strong.
Yeah, picking up where Flynn left off. We're also going to be running a warm coat drive. We're collecting warm coats and new or lightly used. I think we all know how cold it's been recently, and I can't imagine spending these days without something nice and warm to bundle up in. Looking ahead, we have also begun preparation for one of our favorite annual traditions, the Winter Ball. This year, the event will be held in January at Wright's Farm. Our students have already started planning and working on this organization and making sure the evening is special for everyone in our student body. I want to thank you for your ongoing support of our students and the initiatives that we take part in. We feel deeply about your gratitude, and this provides meaningful assistance to us, including Ms. Rowe, Mr. Curran, and the families in Cumberland. Also, these teachers teach us valueships like leadership, empathy, and service. Their pride is in helping our town is genuine and their impact is real. Thank you for your time and everything you do to support the young people of our community.
Thank you both for all your hard work. It is truly appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have a report out of the executive session meeting. The meeting was canceled this evening. Personnel announcements. Ms. Drezek?
Hi, good evening. I have 4 announcements tonight. We have a retirement after 27 years of service, effective 12/27/2025. Tim Marco, custodian nights at Cumberland High School. We have an appointment effective November 19th, 2025. Lucia Marino, MLL teacher at North Cumberland Middle School. And effective December 1st, 2025, Matthew Hastings, custodian nights at BF Norton and Float. We have an unpaid leave of absence effective January 7th, 2026. Sherry Hurd, special education teacher at Garvin, and coaching appointments as submitted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is the superintendent's report. Dr. Thornton?
Good evening, Madam Chair. First, we have several golden ticket winners. If I can call up Principals Howell and Carter to help me with this first part. So our first golden ticket winner from Cumberland Hill, we have Wyatt Fortin, grade 2, chose the Boys and Girls Club of Northern Rhode Island with the $500 grant. So great job to Wyatt Fortin at Cumberland Hill.
We are also celebrating a golden ticket at Garvin. Fourth grader Camden Clark has won a golden ticket a couple of weeks ago. He has chosen to give his $500 grant to Books Are Wings in Pawtucket. Books Are Wings distributes books to students across the state, and he is an avid reader, so Camden thought this was the perfect opportunity to share his love of reading, and he was able to drop off the check in person at Books Are Wings earlier this month. So congratulations to Camden.
Good afternoon, or evening, actually. We have a golden ticket winner at preschool. His name is Vincent Sparrow, better known as Vinny to all of us in preschool. It is past Vinny's bedtime, so he is home in bed sleeping. I know his parents are here, so thank you very much. Vinny decided to donate his $500 grant to the preschool. So he's giving it right back to us, which we are so incredibly thankful for. Thank you, and have a good evening.
And next up, we had the Science Olympiad at NCMS over at Brown. They were over there on December 7th. We have over 40 students on the team. The lead team had 7 8th graders, 5 7th graders, 2 6th graders, and the team won medals in 9 events. So great job from the NCMS science team. There they are. Next up, we have Mr. Costa giving us an update on the new master schedule work for next year at the high school. Mr. Costa.
Thank you, Dr. Thornton. So one of the first, and thank you for this opportunity to share this, the new schedule at the high school, which we think we don't think, we know it's going to open up tremendous amount of opportunities to more of our students at Cumberland High School. And with every meeting, I like to open up with, there's no perfect schedule. A perfect schedule does not exist, but what we do as a community is we try to find something that reflects the values that we want for our community. And I do think that this schedule is going to put Cumberland High School in a better position to support, and the key word here is all of our students in more ways with their high school experience. But over the past year, we've engaged in a very deliberate, collaborative, and a transparent process to develop this schedule. And we're looking to meet academic, social, emotional, and post-secondary needs of our students. We have visited other schools. We have had conversation with other school leaders. We've been in consultation with the Rhode Island Department of Education to do this. We've had meetings with teachers, counselors, there's been administrative involvement, regular updates to the subcommittees, and there's been a 21-member scheduling committee made up of admin, teachers, and school counseling, and other leaders that have participated in this. And just to give them the thank you, I just want to share with you who was part of this committee. Myself, Mrs. Delfino, the assistant principal, and who also is in charge of pathways at the high school, Mr. Carpenter, dean of students, Mr. Kennehan, who's a science teacher, and the schedule that I'm going to share with you tonight is probably really his design. It was really the one that kind of bubbled to the top there. Tara Maloney, another science teacher, Jess Delaney, who's a science teacher and a CTE teacher, Mr. Stead, a CTE teacher, Mr. Permiano, who works in the ELA department, Denise Kemble, who's a school counselor, along with Alyssa Lato, who's a school counselor. Physical education was represented by Steve Gorman, Mr. Henn and Mr. Keller represented the social studies department. The world language department was represented by Miss Angela Murcia. We had Miss Cindy Walsh from the art department. Mr. Hoxie and Miss McIntosh represented the special educators in our building. And then math was represented by Cheryl Jeswaldi, Heather McFarland. And after we had our team together, Miss Jan's asked to join. And of course, anyone could have joined and anyone could have been a part of this. So Miss Jan made up she made up the 22nd member of our team, 21 plus me. So we're very excited about this. And the new schedule is really designed to, Mike, if you could just go to the second slide. The new schedule is really designed to increase opportunities for students to meet their goals. And we're trying to do this without creating any more unnecessary pressure that our students might feel today. So we certainly wanted to embed supports. We wanted to expand enrichment opportunities. And I know this question has come up a lot with no desire to get rid of flex. So flex will still exist within our new schedule. But one of the major benefits of this schedule is going to be the flexibility that it's going to provide for our students. Students can build schedules aligned to personal goals. There'll be more opportunity for advanced coursework inside of school and outside of school. Summer school the enrollment in summer school has been dwindling over the years. There's now opportunities for students to recover credit during the day, take additional electives, get some targeted support. These structures allow our students, and then one of the things that's sometimes overlooked is sometimes we're faced with students who are coming back from long absences out of school from one reason or another. This also provides flexibility not to overburden students with the full schedule as they're returning from maybe a hospitalization. But then, just as importantly, is that this schedule is going to be able to expand learning beyond the walls of CHS. It creates a predictable, consistent time blocks that our community partners can count on if they are going to support Cumberland High School students in learning new skills. So this will support work-based learning, the ability for apprenticeships, internships, career exploration, while allowing students to pursue interests not currently at CHS, including trade and industry experiences. From an instructional standpoint, the schedule I'm about to show in just a minute, in some cases, increases opportunities to earn credits and enhance in academic profiles. Not too long ago, I went to a Rhode Island Association of Principals meeting, and URI was present, and URI was discussing that a lot of schools are now trying to offer more opportunities for credits for students to enhance their profiles. Applications to colleges have become very, very competitive, and that's why we see enrollment acceptance rates going down for each college because they're getting so many more applicants now. So this puts our students in a better position to enhance their profiles. So again, while there's no perfect schedule, we believe this one moves Cumberland forward. Mike, you want me to take the mic or? Yeah. So our current schedule currently has periods, which is not this one. Our current schedule has periods of 60 minutes, sometimes 75 minutes, sometimes. And then on Wednesdays, because of early release, sometimes we have 50-minute periods, and sometimes we have 45-minute period belongs. When you look at this schedule, what we've done outside of this is our flex block, we've now created a schedule that has 75-minute periods every time students meet. So that is going to be consistent from a planning purpose. This is really good for our teachers who now are always planning for the same length of time. This period right here, we just need to tweak the numbers a little bit between passing time for lunches to get to that 75-minute mark, and we're working on that. The next thing is only on early release days will we drop flex. So this is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then this is Wednesday. In order to keep these minutes at 75, all we have to do now is just drop flex from that time slot. So currently, we do not have flex on Wednesdays. We have it on Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, so that will continue to be. Now, in full transparency, we did calculate the minutes of the classes, and this schedule does result in a fewer, less minutes. It comes out to, per quarter, classes will meet 2 or 3 times less per quarter. So that's from a minutes, when you calculate minutes. So with that, so when you look here, 75 minutes, we're going to be meeting now. We have a blue day. Blue days will always meet period 1, 2, 3, and 4. And on white days, it will always be periods 5, 6, 7, and 8. But one of the things that was important for teachers that we embedded some rotation into the schedule. So we went with a blue 1 and a blue 2 and a white 1, white 2. The periods are still going to be the same, 5, 6, 7, 8. But what we've done on the white 2 is we just flipped these 2 and we flipped these 2. So now it's 6, 5, 8, 7. And we've done the same thing with blue 1 and blue 2. What this does is this schedule provides a tremendous amount of flexibility. So now a student who is going out to do some work-based learning, some career exploration, can come to school through flex block, and then the second part of the day they can participate in something like that. Or if the work-based learning opportunity really happens at the beginning of the day, they could do that at the beginning of the day, and they would take their classes at the end of the day. And then in some cases, what you might see is maybe there's a company who really wants students to be there for the entire day, or students are traveling far. I think about Electric Boat, who's been trying to partner with us for some time. So that student might come to school on a blue day and then go to Electric Boat on a white day. So all of these opportunities, the 2 schedules that really kind of came to the top, both kind of fit the things we were looking to do. But this schedule provides more flexibility, including adding an 8th block to the schedule to allow for those students to either enhance profiles, take that 8th period class, recoup credit, and do other things with that period. So this becomes, they use this word, I learned at the last achievement subcommittee that they use the WIN, what I need period, at the middle school level. And so I immediately said at the achievement subcommittee, I think that to be consistent through the grades, that we should also use the term WIN as well. So it's a period really designed for student-specific needs. This schedule allows students to meet all their graduation requirements. It doesn't change anything in terms of, one of the things that I had said to the scheduling committee is, when we're done building a new schedule, we could not reduce any opportunities students currently have. All this does is Mike, I'm sorry, touch the screen. All this does is it increases opportunities for students. Next steps for us will be, we already have stakeholder meetings with parents. We're going to schedule them with students to deliver some important information to them. We want to continue to work with department leaders to provide any professional development they will be looking for to adjust to the new master schedule. We certainly want to focus some time on doing some curriculum analysis, and we want to spend some time doing some lesson design. But again, teachers currently have a 75-minute block, because every day in our current schedule, lunch is a 75-minute period. So the push to do every period 75 minutes is not a huge stretch, at least in my mind. But teachers will have some work to do, and we want to make sure we support them to do that. Then we want to start thinking about the process in terms of how information will flow from students and parents to the school counselors, who are going to take on the responsibility of building these schedules for our students. And then just as important is we want to work really hard to stop building these community partnerships to make sure that we have spaces for students to learn outside of the walls at Cumberland High School. So this is us moving forward. We are very excited about this.
Excellent, thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? Yes, Ms. Feather.
Thank you so much for that. And I'm being on the Achievement Subcommittee, I've heard this a couple times, and I really am very excited about it. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows. Could you just describe what the RIDE meetings have been like around this schedule and how much in favor of it they have been?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of the motivation is the new secondary regulations that were adopted by the Rhode Island Department of Education just a couple of years ago. There is language in that document that talks about students who provide, help with families at home and students that work. So I was eager to have them at the table. So over the summer, they came in our first meeting with the Rhode Island Department of Education. Dr. Thornton was present. I was there. And there were 3 members from RIDE, and they were very excited about this work. They felt that there was a lot of out-of-the-box thinking that we were considering in terms of just being so open to building these opportunities for students. I think there's some hesitation because we do get caught up with what we're comfortable with in schools, and taking these steps sometimes is difficult. People are very uncomfortable with change, right? And we hear that time and time again. And then I met with them again a second time not too long ago. I shared where we were at with the schedule, and they were so eager. And the final word was, please keep us in the loop. We want to continue to partner with us. This week I had an interview with a professor at URI who was asking me questions about artificial intelligence and how school leaders are using it. And once we were done, he goes, hey, on a side note, I hear you're doing some really good things with the schedule. I can't wait to grab your ear and talk to you about that. So there's a lot of innovative thinking about this, and there was a lot of collaboration, and I do appreciate everyone's efforts. So RIDE is very excited about this, yeah.
Ms. Smith?
You had mentioned that you have met with other principals and you've talked and you've gone into other schools or discussed this. Can you tell us a little bit more, like, is it just the Northern Rhode Island area? Have you been meeting with other principals or looking at other schools throughout the entire state? And who else is modeling something similar to this?
Yeah, the schedule itself is a block schedule like this is, many schools have a block schedule like this. The difference is our willingness to be flexible with student schedules and how we're going to build student schedules. But I spoke to the principals at both Cranston East and Cranston West. They both have similar schedules to this. I spoke to some folks, English teacher she was on the same NEASC team as me. She works in Westerly. I also spoke to the principal of North Kingston High School, Dr. Chip McGeer. Bob Littlefield, who was a principal in Rhode Island for a very long time, he now is the director of the Rhode Island Association of Schools principal. He was my first conversation, so this happened back in 23-24, had conversations with him. Other schools that have schedule like this include Charahoe. Charahoe has had a block schedule for a very long time. Dr. Thon, not to put you on the spot, but were you involved with that back? Yeah, so since 2003. And again, Portsmouth, North Kingston, South Kingston, the Cranston schools, Pontigansett, all have block schedules that are similar to this.
Are any of those schools, are you seeing the benefits, or are they talking about the benefits with CTE programs and what they're seeing, and maybe increasing those programs and give students opportunities besides just looking at just a college path?
Yeah, so I think some schools are definitely more advanced. I think Pontigansett is probably at the front of the idea of providing internships for students, the work-based learning opportunities of students in CTE programs. Again, our schedule, what I'm hoping to do is even students who are not in a CTE program, and again, this is also in the RIDE regulations, students who are not in CTE programs but want to do an internship with something that they're tied to, we can develop a system to get them credits on their transcript for them to earn credits with the internship. So I'm not sure at what level schools are.
Thank you. I'm doing a lot of work on this in my own personal job, so, and we're doing it in the East Bay and building with the schools and looking at things like this. So it's very interesting to me to see how we're doing it here and how it can relay to things into the work environment.
Just a final note, at the last administrator meeting that we have our biweekly administrator meetings. Dan Werner, who's covering for one of our administrators right now, he was also in a school that transitioned from a traditional schedule to a block schedule, and he was so excited for us. So those folks who've been, doing this for a long time, they really see this as a path to support our students. And when I arrived here in 2013, our current schedule is the schedule that we have. And when you think about 2013 to 2025, how much our students' needs have changed, this is a really great step moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. Sorry. Mr. Bacon and then Ms. Shea.
So I just want to say thank you. First of all, I know that you and your team have worked very hard to accomplish this. This is definitely the step in which, the correct step in the right direction into bringing, CTE programs back. Yeah, this is great. I have spoke with many business owners around town, and they're excited about this too, and they're ready and willing to help with, taking students on and any type of internship. So it's a great way for the community and for the schools to be talking again. My question's for our two student government representatives. Are you guys psyched about this? You guys like the whole block scheduling idea? Yeah? That's right. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Good. Love it.
So just to answer his question, that was one of the specific questions that we had the members at RIDE. What if the internship pays? And they said, hey, if they want to pay them and they're earning credit, good for them. So students can't get paid if they want to pay them. So
Beautiful. Thank you.
Hey, Ms. Shea, did you have a question? Okay.
I actually have two questions. With the 75-minute blocks, are there any type of movement breaks that are going to be implemented for those students that may have difficulties sitting through a 75-minute class?
yeah, so at the high school you transition. So every 75 minutes, students will get a 5-minute break, transition one class. But the design of the lesson will really be up to the teacher. We wouldn't mandate like what that lesson design would look like. But when you look on Monday, except for Wednesday, which is early release, so kids are already getting out a week earlier, when you look at the schedule, every day, this flex block really couldn't be. Students are choosing what to do here. So they will have the opportunity to go get extra help from a teacher. They'll go have an opportunity, but they can also use that time to take a break too, 15 minutes to take a break. And the schedule that I actually had designed, I had the flex period after the first block. It was the teachers that said, let's do 2 and 2 and put the flex in the middle so students had a break there. So that's why we put that there. That was their ask.
Great. And my second question is, in the event that there is an internship opportunity for that student, and for whatever reason, in the event that it just wasn't a good match, how does that child or that student get implemented back into, I guess, a standard day?
Yep. So I actually had a conversation with school counseling today about this. I met with school counseling to prepare for Monday night because I would imagine a parent might have a question like that. So we have to come up systems, and we really have to look at if the internship doesn't work out. Let's say the internship doesn't work out in the first week of the internship. There's still plenty of time. Let's say the internship doesn't work out and we're in the middle of the second quarter. Well, then that student just might carry a part-time schedule till the semester point where we can embed some classes into them. And again, I didn't say this yet, but it's important for you to say that when we start talking about learning opportunities outside of school, we're really talking about seniors who are driving, who've on track for graduation, because the diploma is still number one, right? So we want to know that students have earned 21 credits before we can say we feel comfortable in order to reduce your day to get these opportunities. Because the internships can be credit bearing, or they could just be like learning experiences and they're not getting credit. That's okay too, and we want to be open-minded to that.
Got it. Is there an opportunity also too, in the event that there's a local business that maybe takes on say, 10 students, right? I'm just saying.
That'd be fantastic.
But say that there's an 11th that wants to be involved with them as well. Is there a possibility for like a wait list for that student, or how do we kind of keep the ball rolling for that particular situation?
Yeah, so I'm going to answer that question, and this is something that comes up. Those types of questions are we need to answer them. But I've been very cautious in terms of let's get to the schedule first. We have things we need to continue to build. Absolutely. I'm not shying away from that. We are now in the process of working on paperwork for parents in order for them to be well informed. We're working on processes, so those types of things are going to happen. Even the 8th period, we're going to have to be very cautious with an 8th period because we, going in, don't know how many kids are going to want to choose an 8th period versus something else. So even that, we're not really sure. But the one thing that we're not afraid to move forward with this, but we know there's going to be some learning that's going to take place.
I think Mr. Dean had a question. Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle, you good?
No, I was just going to say, I think that this is going to be a great opportunity for us and our students and bring the district up to the next level.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Dean and anybody else? So Mr. Dean, then I'll speak, and then you'll be good.
So I know as a committee, we've talked about this being a logical and great first step toward trying to transition back into trades in the school. And I know that the internship possibilities aren't going to be solely based around trades. I mean, obviously, if there's an attorney that needs an intern, then, that would be something a student could do. And I think the importance of getting trades back in the school, so we're not at the mercy of people that want to volunteer. If we have a student that wants to study electricity or be an electrician, but we don't have a volunteer in the community, that student won't be able to intern in that field. So I think that's why it's important to get the trades back into the school. But when we let the students leave the school, I think it's important that we pre-qualify some of these volunteers so that maybe these students aren't leaving with the idea that they're going to get, let's say, paralegal training at an attorney's office, but yet they just end up answering the phone the entire day. Is the intent to get a policy going, or for the people that get the interns to report back on what they've done throughout the week? Is that how they get the credit for that?
Yeah, so
internship?
absolutely. So I'm going to answer that question in two parts. Mrs. Delfino is currently working with schools that do have some robust internship programs, so we can get any type of forms, paperwork that they have, so we can bring to us. And I've already reached out to both Mr. Damana and Dr. Thornton about scheduling a January meeting so we can start going over some of those things. I would imagine that our own attorneys are going to want to get their eyes on that paperwork. And then the second part of that is Mr. Keller, who's currently a social studies teacher. He's also, this year, he took on a leadership role in preparation of a new schedule. So he's already working on that. And we will have folks in place that will act as like internship supervisors. It'll be our own staff that might go out and visit students at the workplace. They'll ask whoever the supervisors to fill out some information to make sure students are doing a good job, learning the skills they have the soft skills we're hoping they develop, and then that's what we will determine to award credit. Just having the internship doesn't get the credit. It's developing the skills we're hoping they'll develop.
Excellent, thank you.
I just want to say thank you. I know this is a huge undertaking, and to the representatives on the subcommittee that you had with teachers, guidance, administration, we truly appreciate it, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And Madam Chair, lastly, just a brief construction update at BF Norton. This first picture is the most important picture. It doesn't look like much, but it's exciting to me. If you go in BF Norton and go down the hill now is kind of no longer. Behind you over here is a street called Kilbourne Street. Used to be really high up from BF Norton. Now look how high the whole area's come up. It's around 8 feet up. Kilbourne's no longer a big hill. It's kind of just right over there now. So that's kind of exciting. That was a lot of work. Go ahead, Mike. Next, just some foundation pictures. I would just say, obviously, it's all going in as planned. The steel starts in January. The last piece of steel is in March, and they have a party for that. They have a signing ceremony, so you're all invited for that piece. And the last picture, Mike, January 5th, they open up the Loop Road. It's an exciting improvement. So the yellow Parents will go in, they go around the entire area, and they'll get all the cars off the road. More parking for folks eventually in January over here for teachers. And so that's a nice improvement. So that's going to come out. They're actually going to start that process Saturday and tarring that binder, I think, Saturday and Monday. So that's going to open on January 5th. So that's the brief construction updates.
Any questions for Dr. Thornton?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is reports of standing committee, fiscal management subcommittee update. Ms. Smith?
Yes, the fiscal subcommittee did meet, and we do have quite a bit of resolutions to go through later, and we also have payment of the bills.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Policy and procedure subcommittee update. Ms. Feather?
Policy and procedures did not meet this week, but we're planning to meet right as the new year turns over. I don't know how to say that.
Thank you, Ms.
Thanks.
Feather. Achievement and Communication Subcommittee update, we did meet on December 4th, and we talked about the MTSS policy and the CHS master schedule update. District Health and Wellness Subcommittee update, Ms. Shea?
Yep, we did meet earlier this evening. We were able to discuss the Rhode Island Department of Education, the mini grant that the district did receive. Cumberland was able to be awarded $10,000 in health and wellness grant from RIDE. This funding will allow us to provide social emotional learning, also known as the SEL supportive curriculum, supplementary health education materials, recess activity packs, and a variety of sensory tools. All these resources are going to be distributed evenly across all of our 5 elementary schools. And entirely, the awarded grant will need to be spent by June of '26, and the grant will directly affect all of our students and strengthen both of their social and emotional learning and health education programming.
Thank you, Ms. Shea. Next, comments from the public. Do we have any comments from the public? Okay. Next is new business. Discussion only RICAS update. Mr. Damano?
Okay, good evening. So it's time for our annual RICAS results, our 2024-2025 results. And this evening, I am joined by my colleagues. We have Kathy Cardoza, who is our K-8 math and science coordinator. This is her 36th year of service for the district. Bethany Silva is with us, K-8 ELA and Social Studies, and Bethany is in her 20th year of service. And we also have a special guest this evening, Mr. McGrath, Director of Finance. You are a Doctor of Finance. I mean, you're pretty up there in your finance prowess. So Tim was really gracious enough to want to join us. I asked him if he would bring us some new insights as we try to evolve our presentation each year and make it a little new and give you some additional information to enhance what we share. And so he's a busy guy, but he was gracious enough to help us out, so I really do appreciate you joining us this evening. Mike, do you have the clicker? I do. Thank you. Okay, so our goals and our purpose, they don't change or vary. We do exist for the pursuit of proficiency for all of our students, and we try to be very strategic and actionable, in how we go about doing that. And we have a team, comprised of coordinators, coaches. We partner with our principals and our teachers in order to accomplish that. And in order for the school department to grow, there has to be a great deal of synergy, not only in central office, but through the different layers right on up into the students. And so that synergy is really, really important. As always, what we try to do with this particular presentation is we try to provide a holistic district view. We do a deep dive. We look at things from the district perspective at 30,000 feet. We also look at each individual school's performance. And also, the RIDE data portal does a really, really good job. It's evolved immensely, and there's a lot of school-specific data, a lot of cohort data that is open to the public, and the public can dive into that information at their own leisure. Per usual, RICAS scores, students are measured on a scale from a 440 scale score to 560. 500 is and has always been the cut score for proficiency, for a student to be determined that they're meeting grade level proficiency and standards. So when a student is not meeting expectations, that's considered a 1. Partially meeting expectations, it's considered a 2. Meeting expectations, a 3. And exceeding expectations, a 4. So holistically, overall, the district, we have a 2% increase in mathematics. So we're at 58%, and that is matching our highest total ever for our district. So we're really proud about that. In ELA, we increased by 4%, so that was also exciting to see. We are back at 55% for ELA, and we're about 6% off of our all-time high of 61, which was the year prior to the pandemic. So we thought it would be important to share this particular information, again, holistically at 30,000 feet. When you consider that we're testing over 2,000 students in this district, and you'll see that we're one of the larger districts in the state in terms of testing students grades 3 through 8. When you take the average of all of those students that are testing in math and ELA respectively, you see our average scale score is 504 in math and it's 502 in ELA, which means on average, over 2,000 kids, our students are meeting grade level expectations and they're proficient. And so that's pretty impressive, and it's an impressive statistic to look at. If you go into the data portal, you'll see that that's not always indicative across the state. You're up.
Okay. I'm going to share some of the math data. So this slide shows our district proficiency trends from pre-pandemic to the present. We are at an all-time high back in 2019 at 55%. Since then, we dipped in 2021, and then we've made a steady recovery. So compared to pre-COVID levels, we have had an increase of 3 percentage points of students scoring proficient. And looking at year-to-year progress, this year we saw a 2% increase from last year, which is higher than the statewide increase. Their average increase was 1.3%. So the percentage increase represents the change in the proportion of students meeting proficiency from one year to the next. So in other words, it tells us how many more students are now reaching grade level standards. So overall, this slide highlights that more of our students are meeting grade level standards each year, and our rate of improvement is outpacing the state as a whole. Okay, this slide looks at 10 districts, the top 10 performing districts in terms of percent of students achieving proficiency. There's also some other information on here that we included. In addition to the percent of students meeting or exceeding expectations, we have the SGP, which stands for Student Growth Percentile. And a student growth percentile is a value from 1 to 99 that shows how much a student has grown academically compared with peers who started at a similar achievement level. So 1 to 34 is considered typical growth. 35 to 69 is considered, low growth. 35 to 69 is typical growth, and 70 to 99 is high growth. So even though the percentage of students meeting or exceeding expectations puts us at a ranking of number 6, you can see that our SGP is higher than all of those districts. So Cumberland posted the highest SGP, indicating that its students demonstrated the strongest overall academic growth. We also include low income, and the reason we do that is because the percent of low income students is included. Socioeconomic status is one of the strongest predictors of average school or district performance on RICAS. So that's why we thought it was important. And you can see Cumberland, we have 28% of our students are low income, and we're still outperforming I mean, we're still ranked number 6 with districts that are 12%, 14%, 24%. So again, I think it shows the strength of our programs, students. Yes. So this is just another, it also tells us percent proficient of Cumberland, but instead of comparing it to the top 10 ranking districts, we looked at all of the districts that test between 1,000 and 2,500 students. We did that because communities like Jamestown, Little Compton, they test like 200 or 300 students. So we wanted to give you a comparison of some of the medium to larger districts. We think this is important because it is, you know, if you do some research, it is harder to show growth when you have a larger population. So it doesn't mean learning is better or worse if you're in a smaller or a bigger district. It means percent changes are more volatile in small districts than high districts. So a small increase or decrease in performance for any individual student is averaged out. So it takes a much larger number of students to make a shift when you have than it does when you have a few students. If in small districts, 5 to 10 students is going to move your percent proficient, whereas in a larger district, it would take that many more students. So because of this, it takes some, I was going to actually let you take that part of it. The other part of having a large district, she will share with you when we get to the ELA slide about the difficulties with curriculum and things like that.
Good evening. Hello. All right, so it's my turn with ELA. So we're going to repeat the same slides, but I'm going to show the ELA data. So this slide highlights our ELA journey over time from 2019 to present. As Tony mentioned a few slides back, we did have a nice gain of 4%. So I wanted to highlight that positive shift. As Kathy mentioned, we consider 2021 as our new benchmark. That's us emerging from the pandemic. We had a lot of change during those pandemic years. If you take a look at our data from 2021 to 2025, you can see that since then teachers have worked really hard to stabilize our data. You can see that we remained in the low to mid 50s. So although that's great, we do want to move from stabilization to forward movement. And our office has identified targeted areas of need, and we have a plan for that, which I'll share in a few slides. There it is. So as Kathy mentioned, in math, this slide represents the top 10 performing districts in Rhode Island, and we rank 9th in ELA. As Kathy mentioned as well, you'll notice the percent of low-income students, our student growth percentile, and the total number of students tested. To add what Kathy said, it's really important when we're looking at proficiency, not just to look at proficiency alone. It's also important to look at student growth percentile, because when you look at proficiency alone, it's not telling the entire story. Percent proficiency will show us where we currently are, where our students are performing, and then student growth percentile will see where our students are moving towards proficiency. So Cumberland fared really well. We ranked 57% proficient for student growth percentile. The other thing that's really important is that we want to take a look at growth, because consistent high growth is the most reliable path to predicting and raising overall proficiency. So we're doing really well. The other thing that I want to mention, thank you. Kathy also mentioned, and I'll talk a little bit more on the next slide too, how generally districts that have a larger population of students, they face more challenges than smaller districts. So just to point out, these 9 other districts did make some nice gains. We made nice gains, and so did they. But to point out, for example, Narragansett, they had a 9% increase compared to last year. They grew 34 students. They test 375 kids, and it took 34 students to grow 9%. We grew 88 students, and we grew 4%. So you can kind of see how testing more students takes it takes more students to increase our overall proficiency, if that makes sense. And again, if you take a look at the districts that test a high number of students, we rank 4th. Just to mention some of the challenges that can impact proficiency, students obviously with larger amount of students, they naturally have more variation in student need, experiences before they prior educational experience. There's also more variation in instruction. More students mean more schools, more principals, more teachers. So that can also impact overall proficiency. But overall, we do fare well because we're ranking 4th.
Right, so this next slide is this, so what next? We have all of this data and what happens with all of this information. So we analyze RICAS data at both the district and the school level. We do an item analysis, which helps us identify areas of strength and areas needing growth. We examine gaps to see if they're compared to other districts that might highlight opportunities where we can improve. We review when, where, and how often the standards are taught, and then we make instructional adjustments as needed. So this is all done at the district level and with teachers. So we meet with, we call them mapping teams, as a representative at each school from each grade, one in math and one in ELA. So we meet with them, we look at the data, and then during professional development days or CPT time, they share that information with their team. Our goal is to use the data to inform instruction and to support all students along the path to proficiency. So it's not something we look at, present, and put it away. It's something that the teachers are aware of, they have the information, they're part of the decision making, so that we can hopefully address any gaps that we have.
Hello. I shouldn't have turned. Hello? Oh, I think I'm just quiet. So as I mentioned in the first slide, for ELA, we're pretty stable, but we want to push some forward trajectory, some forward growth, forward movement. So there was a new, well, not necessarily new, a report that we noticed this year that really highlighted our strengths and opportunities for growth. And as Kathy mentioned, yes, we look at data. Yes, we have mapping sessions and we have mapping representatives in ELA. One of the new layers that we added this year is collaborative partnership. And I kind of captured that collaborative learning and growth. So our office is partnering with content leaders at the middle school and ELA and social studies. And we have a year-long and beyond plan as far as our professional learning goes with them, and that will be implemented into the middle schools. But right now we're focusing on calibration, and then we're going to transition to high leverage learning strategies to impact students. And what calibration is, it's us taking a look at evaluating student work in a very similar way, so that we're giving clear and consistent feedback to students so that they can receive that feedback and grow. And that's been a lot. We've been working on that the past few months. It's been well received, and we're having great conversations working together. At the elementary level, our office is partnering with classroom teachers and principals. We noticed, looking at RICAS, that writing is an opportunity for growth for us. We're doing well in reading, but we thought that we could, doesn't hurt to keep working. So we are working on small group instruction, collaboration and professional learning, and we're also working on writing to keep moving forward.
Okay. Like other years, we like to look at Massachusetts because Massachusetts is considered a top performing state. In addition to that, we use the same standards as Massachusetts and we give the same assessment as Massachusetts. So this first slide just compares our percent proficient to neighboring towns that border Cumberland or close to Cumberland that you would most likely recognize. Our district had a higher percentage of students performing at proficiency than most of the neighboring Massachusetts districts. In fact, I think in math, Franklin was the only district that outperformed us with 57% proficient. You can see it's highlighted. Oh, actually, Rentham, yep, 59. Yeah, I can't see that well. And then you notice they have 17% low-income students, whereas Cumberland has 28% low-income students. So it's a strong performance relative to other Massachusetts nearby town. This slide also shows ELA.
While you were at schools today, I happened to look up student growth percentile as well for these districts, and our student growth percentile is much higher than these districts as well, since we added that to our presentation this year.
So this also, instead of just neighboring Massachusetts town, it's as if we took Cumberland and plopped it into Massachusetts. How do we do compared to all of the districts? So Cumberland performed better than 80% of Massachusetts districts. And about 2% performed the same as Cumberland, and 18% of Mass districts performed better than Cumberland. So we're in the top percent, well, 20%, if you considered us part of Massachusetts.
We're doing well in ELA as well compared to Mass. We performed better than 75% of Massachusetts districts. 2% performed 2% the same as Massachusetts, and then 23% of Massachusetts districts performed better than Cumberland.
All right, so for the past over a decade, we've been doing comparisons with BVP. The school committee 10 years ago wanted to start seeing what our performance looked like in relation to Blackstone Valley Prep, so we've just continued with that comparison each year. And as you can see, we cut off the data prior to 2019, but that was the pre-pandemic year, and we tracked it, and so you can see how Cumberland has been outperforming BVP's overall performance in mathematics. We currently stand at 58%, and they currently stand at 34% proficiency. When you look at ELA, you have a similar trend. Again, 2019 through 2025, Cumberland strongly performing and outperforming the performance over at BVP. We're at 55, and I believe that says 31%. So a sizable performance. Do you have a question, Ms. Feather?
Quick question. How much of our budget do we send over to BVP every year?
You are going to find that out when Mr. McGrath jumps in. Yeah.
Our special guest.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So this. You want to do this slide? Okay. Go right ahead. Of course.
So this slide represents our Tier 2 student growth percentile at the middle school level. Our office has worked really hard over the past 5 years partnering with both middle schools to create a Tier 2 program, both in ELA and in math. I know we talked at Achievement Sub last week about how Tier 2 is naturally built into the elementary schedule, but the middle school schedule makes it really complicated. But it was figured out, and we worked really hard over the past 5 years. So you can see the positive impact that Tier 2 has on our students. The first bar represents the typical growth, the middle bar represents high growth, and then the third bar represents a combination. So our kids are making great gains in Tier 2. And again, looking at growth is, the predictor, even though they might not be proficient, they are making lots of great gains.
We also noticed that except for one grade level in one subject, that the largest percentage of kids have high growth, which is really hard to do. You could see when we showed the SGP of the districts, it's very unusual to have growth that high.
Okay, so new to this year's presentation is our artificial intelligence analysis. And the reason why we wanted to pull in AI, Tim and I became slightly obsessed with this particular portion of the analysis, and we've been working on it for a long time. The reason why we wanted to bring AI analysis into it is because it provides you all with an objective, non-biased perspective on what our performance is. So the data that we give it, we ask it with a prompt, and so the prompt generally was this, just to give you an idea of how we would prompt this particular tool that we used. And we simply asked that we uploaded a chart of information, and I believe that chart was called the chart of success. What was it called, Dr. Thornton? Quadrant of success. Okay. So we uploaded that chart, and we asked it to provide an analysis of Cumberland's performance in relation to its peers in the state. That was the crux of the prompt. And so in about 45 seconds, it came up with quite the analysis. So its own words, the value of excellence, how Cumberland delivers premier academic performance through smart, efficient investment. Again, unsolicited, unbiased at all. And now Tim will take over.
Thank you, Mr. Devana. Yeah, so I couldn't resist the chance to, with budget season coming, taking some thunder out of RICAST and start talking about budgeting and what we have to face. But obviously there's a cost to the success that Cumberland's seeing, but I don't think that cost is as high as people might think. So this is one of Dr. Thornton's favorite charts, and as Mr. Devana indicated, we put it into AI, and it kind of produced this graphic for you, indicating districts, in the top left quadrant, low cost but high success, and then you'll see high success but also high cost, and then low cost, low success with high cost. So obviously you want to be in that top left quadrant, and you'll notice that the districts in that top left quadrant are also the ones that have been mentioned a couple times tonight. Yeah, go ahead. We also took some data. We uploaded that chart, but also the Auditor General recently published a report discussing the financial conditions of all the cities and towns in the state. So we actually took that 100-page document and put it in and kind of let it mix the RICAST data with per pupil spending that it had in those reports. So as you can see, you'll see Cumberland on here with its, in this scenario, the 52% overall average, but with an extremely low cost of $17,000 per student, per spending. So what AI indicated was compared to the highest spending districts in the state, Cumberland delivers a comparable student proficiency for over 40% less investment per student. So I think that's pretty telling. And as we go, it will even become even clearer. So this chart, this is one of Mr. Damana's favorite charts. I think he loves the quote at the bottom that Cumberland delivers 87% of Jamestown's academic proficiency for only 57% of the per pupil cost. So if you look at Jamestown with its $30,000 per student and 60%, and then Cumberland at 52% with 17. So I think that's pretty telling. And then you see Barrington in the middle there at 62%. So I think that's pretty telling of the current conditions that Cumberland's seeing.
So as AI continued to create the slides, it thought it would be good to kind of like pause and then talk about the Cumberland model more for less. And so it just created this statement about high test scores, but being thoughtful, efficient, and strategic in terms of our investments. And it created a statement, we are not just a district, we are a model for what is possible, obviously referencing that quadrant of success in terms of the bang for your buck in terms of investment in students.
So one of the slides that AI produced out of that was this, and I think this is extremely kind of scary if you think about it. What this does is compares Cumberland's per student spending to the statewide average. And you can see the trend has continued to grow. That gap is widening, and that's a concern. So you'll see that we are now in FY24 $17,000 per student behind the statewide average. That's a rather large number, and you'll see in the next slide, that equates to $35 million. If we took that $7,000 and multiplied it over the number of students in Cumberland, we would need an additional $35 million just to hit the state average per student spending. So also we did compare to BVP, their per student spending is $20,000. So that I think the next slide will indicate that's a $15 million spread. And to answer your question, Ms. Feather, $2.7 million. This chart just kind of, it really kind of drives that home, showing Cumberland's per pupil spending and then kind of the different steps. We threw BVP in there, but you could easily put Barrington in there. Barrington was about a $20,000 per student spending. And I don't know about you, Mr. D'Amato, but if I gave you $15 million, you think you can close that 2% gap? I think you could. Or 35. I think that's, yep, go. And then if you go one more, you'll see, you would think that as these costs rise, you'd see the proficiency rise, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Yes. Yeah. And I believe to finish it off, one of the things I found interesting was when AI looked at the municipal data, it put Cumberland's local effort of 55% right up there with the top with the other districts, commending the town for its effort to funding the Cumberland School Department. But once again, we are seeing a gap of $7,000 per student against the state average. And that continues to increase. So.
That's it. So again, AI was able to sort of tell the story, reinforce our story, take a look at our information, and provide us with a perspective perhaps that we knew, but it gave us far more detail and far more insight into the information. And so we thought it was really important to bring that to the table. And again, thank you guys for supporting the work. So I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Very creative with the AI part at the end. That was cool. Any questions from the committee? Ms. Smith.
Thank you. And Mr. McGrath, thank you, because you know I like the finance side of things, so I appreciate that. I have some questions. I've been writing some things down, jotting things down. I also had already studied the information on RICAS, which I did in part because I knew that they were coming out, but in part because I had to read about it in the Valley Breeze before it came to the school committee. So I just think it's better to approach the school committee and provide us something a little earlier than we're having to see it in the press in the future. That would be beneficial to us so that we're prepared for our constituents and the questions that come to us and being able to have information like this available. But I was looking and I'm wondering, how are we adapting the support for each of our schools based upon the data? So I know that we don't have individualized schools broken out here, but I do know that there's disparities in the scores, but there's also differences in the type of student body that we have. So I'm wondering, how are you looking to adapt that in the future to give more strength to the schools where it may be needed a little bit more on different topics, such as writing or other areas of concentration?
So there's a lot of ways that we can answer that question. We can answer it big picture and then certainly more granularly if they so choose to jump in. So basically right now we start with principal goals individually at their buildings through the evaluation process. And so through the evaluation process, principals are creating personal growth goals, and we work with them. When I say we, the superintendent and myself, set those professional growth goals rooted in their building's academic needs. We also ask them to provide student learning objectives or student outcome objectives, and those outcome objectives are tied to, again, their school's specific needs. One of their goals we're driving at the district, which you heard Bethany talk about, small group instruction, which was an area that we felt we needed to get under control in all of our buildings and see more consistency with it. And so that would help each of the buildings. And so we look at it big picture and individually through their evaluation process, goal setting, and objectives. And so beyond that, when schools are coming to the table and working with Kathy and Bethany, they're having discussions about making those curricular changes. Our coaches are getting into those individual buildings to get to the granular level. Some of those buildings that you're referencing, they're getting into those buildings, getting into classrooms, modeling lessons, focusing on writing, and doing those types of things. So do you want to add anything to that?
I just want to add, it's also resources. So, for example, McCourt Middle School had a lot of obstacles one year with not being able to fill positions and teachers leaving. So then when we were able to, it started off with grant money from the state. We hired a full-time math coach, which now the district, that money has run out. The district is supporting that. And we made significant gains at McCourt Middle School last year. So it's also where they have more resources, I would say.
And I do have to say, McCourt, we changed a lot last year, and it has really paid off. And you can see that with the scores. I know that we don't have it individualized up here to show to the audience, but, there was a leadership change. There was a change in the scheduling. There was, the teams were put back into place there. So then there was a lot of crosswork done between the principals and the assistant principals between the two middle schools. And I'm certainly hoping that that continues. And I guess that's some of the model that I'm wondering, are we going to stop modeling some of that into the different elementary schools as well? Because while I know that the principals have great communication and they do a lot together, there certainly could be opportunities. And I don't know how the teachers are, how receptive everybody is when others are coming in to help them. Are they reaching out? Are they trying to look for mentors to help bring in around there? Or is it just staying with the coaches? Just try to understand that a little bit more.
So all of the elementary school teachers and subject areas have representatives that come and meet with Bethany and Kathy within that mapping process. So we're in touch with all the different grade levels at every single school, and those members they're not met with in silos, meaning they're at the table. Garvin is at the table with BF Norton teachers, with community teachers, and so again, we try to build synergy and so that we have consistency throughout all of the buildings. When we are looking at things that we notice at the district level, like small group instruction, something like that will be implemented, and we try to create the consistency in all buildings because we're seeing that at 30,000 feet that's an issue. Other issues, more granular issues, that's when the coaches come into play. If we're seeing certain areas in certain grade levels, perhaps they're going to meet with a particular grade level at a school a little bit more often because we're seeing trends just in a particular grade level. If it's happening in a particular school, then it would require us meeting more with a principal and talking about that specifically with them and helping them with strategies on what they could be doing in their buildings on top of the other layers that we have, their professional growth goals, their student objectives, and all of those things. So we try to build in layers, and it really depends on the nature of the issue and what we're really seeing.
How do MLL students play into this as well? Because I know we have a very high population with the MLLs, and that certainly can impact in different areas and different schools. So how are we putting that in and adapting for that where there's a higher need in different schools?
I'd say right now we're pretty well staffed. I think we've caught up in terms of staffing. The superintendent has invested in making sure that our schools have the appropriate number of staff members in the MLL arena at each school. And so, in my opinion, our MLL students are doing quite well. Again, if you look statistically at exited every single year when RICAS comes out and you look at students that are exited from MLL programs, 3 years exited, their scores are in the 60s, high 60s in terms of proficiency for ELA, and they're very high in math. And so what that tells us is over time, as they spend more time in our system, when they exit, they're doing better than our native speakers. Of course.
I also just wanted to mention with the MLL students, Bethany and I have spent time meeting with the MLL teachers and including them in the mapping teams so we can support them better. I went to the MLL meeting last month to talk to the teachers about the resources that we've provided for them, and I know Bethany has also met with MLL teachers. I also just want to say that Shannon and I, Shannon's math coach, Tier 3 coordinator, in the past month we visited every single classroom at every elementary school. And the instruction is high quality instruction at both schools. They're using the same materials, the same programs. I think, obviously, like you said, the MLL learners and other sub-pops affect test scores. And because of that, we provide more resources. But it's excellent instruction and the same curriculum at all 5 elementary schools.
I'm Jillian Belanger, the MLL coordinator. I just wanted to also add, since Tony said I could, that the growth percentile for our MLLs is also higher than our native English speaking students. So that was another really impressive statistic for us to dig into and see, especially at the middle school level, especially you were mentioning at McCourt, in all 3 grades we were seeing our active multilingual learners growth. That was above the average growth of our native English-speaking students. So I appreciate the question, and thank you, Tony, for asking if I wanted to add anything.
All right, so I just have one more. If we can go back to page 13, I want to use this as an example. Only because you have it in 2 different ones. So you have it here, a little bit further back up.
What's the slide, sir?
Yeah, it's one of the,
This?
no. Hold on. I'll go back up on my page and I'll
This
get
one?
it for you. Is that 13? Yeah, the testing years, there you go. Thank you. So I just want to use this as an example because I see it on both of them. Correct me if I'm wrong here. 2024 testing was the year that we didn't have common planning time. Is that correct? That was the year when we had all the testing done, when we did not have common planning time. Do you think that played a role in the scores dipping? And now going back up, and you're seeing them go increase again when common planning was brought back in for the 25 testing year?
I think if we had the answer, we'd be millionaires. I think a lot of factors especially, I think a lot of factors have impacted our scores. Yes, common planning time. We saw a big disconnect, especially at mapping meetings when teachers are like, we don't have time to talk with our colleagues. They have their preps, but a lot of times, especially the elementary level, they're covering other classes if teachers are absent. They don't have the time to connect with their teachers, with their colleagues. We also talked about how, common planning time helps. Our professional learning days that are built into our schedule, we just the past 2 years had control of those because RIDE mandates a lot of things. For example, the right to read. We spent, how many years? Was it 4 years, 3 years? And our professional learning days, everyone had to complete the right to read. So we weren't able to do things that we wanted to work on internally. So time is a struggle for us in terms of professional learning. But yes, that was a long answer. But common planning time is definitely helpful. As I mentioned, we noticed that, writing is an area of need, especially in a few grade levels. And that was consistent even before the pandemic. We've kind of had a flat line as far as writing goes. So I've reached out along with the coaches to work with teachers on writing. We have a great foundation in terms of writing strategies. We just need to figure out how can we elevate what we're already doing and let's, let me get in there, the coaches get in there, let's collaborate together, work shoulder to shoulder, work across schools, and so teachers have been really receptive. So definitely common planning time has helped.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? Mr. Dean?
Yeah, just one question. I know we've been spending a lot of time comparing Cumberland to, nearby towns. As a school committee member, one of the things I'm very interested in is how the schools are performing within the town. I know we increased 2% in math and 4% in ELA. And, I wish that that was, a number across all schools, but we know it's not. We need to make sure all the schools are performing well. How is the gap trending? Is it widening or is it narrowing? I know you said that you solved a lot of the problems at South Cumberland Middle School that you had last year, and you've got a lot of better performance there. What are you seeing as far as the scores within Cumberland?
So I would say that when we look at the scores, if we'll talk about ELA, because I think that's probably where more you're referencing. I think generally speaking in math, we've seen more consistent gains in our schools. And in ELA, do I think that there are opportunities in some of our elementary schools to improve our ELA performance? Yes, and I think the elementary principals would agree with that. If you say, is it widening? I don't think it's widening. I think that with a few tweaks, we could get to where we want to go. It's more about stabilizing the variables that you heard Bethany and Kathy talk about. And if we get those things right, just like we were able to do at McCourt, we can tweak those things. We're never going to have the exact performance at every elementary school. And so, same curriculum, different teachers, different principals, even though you have the same assessments, you have all of that stuff happening across the schools, you're never going to have a district that's going to have exactly the same scores. If you look at Lincoln, you'll see similar trends. Their elementary schools vary in there. Every district has that degree of variance. What we want to do is maximize each school. So I'm trying to get to my point. What I have done is I've sort of mathematically tried to figure out something that I call maximum performance threshold. And in my opinion, there is a maximum performance threshold for the Cumberland School Department, and that works its way down. There is a maximum threshold of performance for each building. And I have a notion of what that is for each school, and I've shared that with all of the principals. And so that is our target for each building. And so anything below that number, in my opinion, is an opportunity for us to, we haven't maximized our performance in those particular respective buildings. And so, we can discuss more about how I arrived at those numbers, but in my mind, we talked about finance. We do have certain limitations given the budget season. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm not so sure it looks the greatest coming up in this upcoming season. But if we're able to stabilize certain things, I think that Cumberland, at its most optimal peak, could be, if we're between 62 and 65% as a district, it's attainable, in my opinion, in both ELA and math.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, whatever you need from us, I'm not sure what we could do, but I know that we're all on board with, trying to make sure that you can achieve that goal.
Yeah, I think it's well within grasp if certain things fall into place. And again, each school respectively, in my opinion, has a maximum performance threshold.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you all for your time. I know how busy you are, so we appreciate you explaining all this. Next on the agenda is discussion only bus stop safety with Officer Joseph Parento.
Good evening. So Officer Joe Parento, I oversee and run within the traffic division of the Cumberland Police Department. So I was asked to come by today to
I'm so sorry. I'm not sure if the mic is working. I apologize.
Coming up.
There we go. Oh, perfect. Thank
A
you.
little higher. So I was asked to come by to talk about how the bus stop process works. So basically, a week or so before the school year begins, the Cumberland Police Department is given an Excel spreadsheet of all the bus stops that Durham needs to have out there. That list consists of the school bus, where the bus is coming from, where it's going, all the times that it expects to arrive at each of the stops, There's over 1,500 different stops throughout the course of the day from all the different buses. We go through that list and we look for anything that may be glaring, some type of stop that maybe we have a high accident volume in. We try to go through it as best we can with just that information alone. Once we review it, we approve it, we send it back to Durham. What we do not have is a list of however many thousands of kids that are out there that where their residence is and how they're getting to these bus stops. We don't know the route that they're walking. So it's difficult to say when we look through that list that we may approve it and say, yeah, this all looks safe, it looks good to go. And then we find out that, a person coming from their residence, the walk they have to get to that location may not be as safe as we once thought. So what happens is, once that concern either comes through the Cumberland Police Department or it goes through the school or Durham or whatever have you, we go out there and check it. We go to the residence where the child is going to be leaving from, where they're going to be walking home to, and we walk the path ourselves and we drive it because we want to look at it from the eyes of the motorist, what they're seeing, and we want to see it from the eyes of a pedestrian that's going to be walking to the stop. So our goal is obviously safety, safety for the pedestrians, safety for the motorists. When we look at the stops, there's not necessarily a set policy that says this is exactly what has to happen because every roadway is different, every path is different, but there's a lot of things that we're looking for. We're looking for the traffic volume on the road. Is it a road that may only see 10 cars an hour, or is it a road that's going to see 1,000 cars an hour? So we look for things like that. How wide is the street? Are there sidewalks? Now, let's be realistic. There's not, every street in this town does not have a sidewalk. So we can't just automatically say, oh, there's no sidewalk on that road, so we can't have kids walking down it. We look for curbing. We look for obstructions. One year, it may be perfectly safe. The next year, we go out there and some person's hedges might be overgrown so much that they might be forcing a child to walk more into the street. So it's tough to say, even year to year, what that road looks like. Maybe there's a boulder there now. So those are things that we're looking for. I look for the line of sight. How far can I see down the road? If I'm driving, how far can I see? Same thing. So we're looking for sight distances. The grade of a roadway. Are there hills? Are there curves? Dips in the road, bends in the road, any point in time where a motorist might lose sight of a pedestrian if they're not expecting it. So these are the things that we go out there and look at when it's brought to our attention that the roadway the path might not be very safe. And again, when we do these evaluations afterwards, we're going in it with a very unbiased mindset. We understand that Durham has a job to do. They have to pick up the children. They have a schedule to get everybody to school in a reasonable amount of time. But again, obviously, we don't want to take away from the safety of the students. It's unrealistic to say that we can stop at every single person's house and pick up door to door. It can't happen that way. So there has to be some give and take in it. There's always going to be inherent risks when you have students walking on a street, when you have them waiting at a bus stop. The expectation that we have is that students, parents, or anybody, they're going to be walking in the correct manner. They're going to be off to the side of the road. They're going to be walking against traffic. They're not going to be playing in the roadway. Those are all expectations that we have when we when we approve these bus stops. And same thing for a motorist. We're obviously, intending that the motorist is going to be driving, the speed limit. They're not going to be driving distracted. There's some things that are out of our control, but we try to make sure that when we approve these locations, that we're taking all this stuff into consideration and making sure that, again, the roadway is safe for pedestrians just as it is safe for a motorist, and that everybody's acting in a reasonable manner. I can tell you personally, when I do these evaluations, I look at it as, would I let my child walk down there? Full discretion, I've got 5 kids. ranging from 20 to 17, 12, 7, and 6. So I've seen a lot of it. They're all in different age groups within the town. So I try to put my personal perspective on it and say, well, you know, would I let my child walk this route to and from the bus stop? So that all those type of things go into consideration anytime that we, like I said, approve them. There is a process. If somebody still disagrees with our ultimate results of the evaluation, and they can take that and they can request a hearing, and they can come through the school committee, and that can get dug out a little bit deeper and to see if there's anything else that can be done. I know we have a great relationship with the school department and with Durham, and any time that I've ever said that I don't feel that the walk to the bus stop is unsafe, even if it's just something as simple as, hey, I don't like the way that bush sticks out there. You need to figure out something else. And they do it immediately. There's no questions asked. So anybody, like I said, if you have concerns of them, we're happy to go look at them. Like I said, that's kind of the model of which we follow. And until it's brought to our attention, it's tough for us to say exactly what the problem could be. Like I said, we're more than happy to work with Durham and the school department to make sure that these bus stops are safe for everybody.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Mr. Dean?
Just one statement that came up last year, I believe it was before the joint meeting we had. There was a mild snowstorm last year, and everything that you're talking about pretty much goes out the window during the mild snowstorm. You don't have to go far to see kids walking in the roadway. And right out here, I pick my son up. I sit in Charlemont, and those walkers they're in the roadway. You know, the sidewalks don't get shoveled sometimes for weeks. Especially, I drove through District 1 a week and a half, I think, after the snowstorm, and they have sidewalks and they weren't shoveled. You could see where the kids were walking in the street. You could see the footsteps. And I know the rest of the committee, I was sending pictures of the kids in the roadway. And I know that's a town council ordinance. There was an ordinance that they started about forcing people to shovel their sidewalk if it was in front of their house. And I know the police department doesn't have the personnel, to be able to police that, obviously. I mean, it's short-staffed. Just putting it out there so maybe we can revisit that again and try to figure out a way, because it was, even right out here, it was over a week before those sidewalks were shoveled. Maybe not right out in front, but just a couple of 100 yards down the road. That's all, but thank you for what you do.
We get, a lot of that gets brought up at the time. Not a lot of, obviously, these evaluations come right in September. Within the first week, we're out there checking them all out. But a lot of time it is brought up is that, well, when the snow is there, when the weather is there, which is obviously it's extremely difficult for us to predict exactly what that looks like, a time frame as to when the town can get out there and salt and shovel. Obviously, there's an expectation on the residents that if they have sidewalks in front of their house, they should be out there shoveling it. It is, like you said, it's difficult for us to get out there and police all of that to get every single child to school in the morning, and the snow will always be an obstacle for us, especially not knowing how much we're going to get, if we're going to get any. So some years it's a moot point. Other years it can be catastrophic to get the kids to school. So we try to put that into consideration too. And my biggest thing is when I'm looking at these is there room to get out of the road? So if you can get the child out of the street as best you can, even if you are walking in someone's yard when the weather is inclement, it is important.
Yeah, it's in these days, you're driving by kids in slippers and
right. Shorts,
t-shirts,
tank
yeah,
tops,
it's insanity. Yeah.
One last thing, just to talk about, just to highlight on, I know we have the school bus stops cameras. Just while I have an opportunity up here, I think they've been a great addition. I know the state is looking to have them put on all the buses throughout the state within the next couple years. So I think we're certainly ahead of the curve with having them. I review all of the videos that come through the company that captures those, and we're pretty consistent. Range between 20 and 30 violations that we're seeing a month. The last trend, or the last couple months, September, we had 27. October, we had 20. November, we have 11, and currently in December, we have 5. So the trend is going down, which is a good thing. Hopefully, people are starting to make sure they're paying more attention to it. We've talked with Durham regularly to make sure that all the buses are equipped with those. I know they're transitioning some of them out right now, but they're working with the company to make sure that they get all the buses back online. But just to kind of throw out there that I think it is working. So it's an extra tool for us in the police department. That's extremely effective because I can tell you it's extremely hard sometimes to be in the right place at the right time to catch those violations. So the fact that these cameras now are doing that for us is very beneficial. So just to let you know, they do work really well. And we're out there, making sure that if somebody does get a violation, that they're getting cited for it, and hopefully it doesn't happen again.
I think we have another question from Mr. Bacon, then Ms. Smith. And then Ms. Shea.
So
Or is that
first
Ms.
of all, I want to say God bless you because you appear as you have unbelievable patience for having 5 children. So I could learn a lot from you. My question is, Angel Road, now with this new pedestrian, whatever, bike path thing, is that going to change safety-wise for potential more bus routes, bus stops?
We just recently did a traffic study on Angel Road. We had one prior to the paving and the additional bike lane there. We did another one. We're monitoring it really closely. We have grant-funded money which allows us to utilize in certain areas in the town where we can put up an extra patrolman in an area for a certain amount of time where they're not necessarily attending calls, where they can concentrate just on traffic and speed-related issues. We've added Angel Road onto that with the addition of the bike lane because we assume that once the spring comes, we'll start to see the benefits, I guess you'd say, of the bike lane. I mean, obviously it came in late in the year, and I think once people realize it's there, I think we'll start to see more people on the roadway, walking and biking. So it is something on our radar that we're going to keep a close eye on and continue to monitor and use some of that grant-funded money to allocate some time on there to make sure that people are staying in check with the new paved road and the additional pedestrian traffic that'll be on there.
Anybody biking up Angel Road, God bless them. So that, they're going to have those electric bikes to do that hill. I'm not quite sure why there's a bike route down there anyway, so just my personal view. I just wanted to know with the viewing of the cameras of what is getting fed to you, do you review everything that's fed to you, or do they break it down to you so they're only sending you what they see as violations, or how does that work?
So there's segments. There's small segment videos. Basically, those cameras are recording the whole time the bus is moving. But there's a sensor on it that triggers a notification to them that when a vehicle or a pedestrian or something goes by when the stop arm is being extended. So I review to make sure that it is a true violation. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes I've gotten sent videos in the bus yard and they're doing a check and another bus is driving around them. So we have to vet them out to make sure that the violations that we send the citations out are true violations. The expectation is that a bus puts on their amber lights before stopping. They're giving notification that they're about to stop. Once those red lights are activated and that stop arm begins to go out, that's when that sensor's going. So if it's close or if it's a certain violation, they'll send it to me to review, and we obviously have to just make sure that we're following all the rules of the Rhode Island general law and the statute to determine whether or not it is an actual violation. But I can tell you the ones that have been sent out here, it's pretty clear cut that stop arm was fully extended, the lights are activated, everything was done per protocol, and you can watch a vehicle just continue to unfortunately travel right through it.
Right, yeah, so I guess they're parsing them out before they even get to you.
Yeah, it's all the whole company takes care of all that stuff prior to it gets to
So
me.
pretty much
I'm
what
looking
comes
at
to you.
probably maybe 3 to 5 violations a day, and some of those, like I said, get rejected for various reasons, but that's kind of how it all plays out.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because I know that when they first did it, that first month, it was like 70 or something ridiculous And so the numbers are looking much better, and that's great, but I just was wondering how it was really done, and how it
And
was
we've
really
actually, to elaborate on that, we broke down, now that we've had a decent amount of time with these cameras, we've broken down the data to not only just look at the number of violations, but we have an active spreadsheet showing where these actual violations are taking place at the various bus stops. We had acknowledged a couple areas that had a very high number of violations in a very short period of time. So we had talked with the school, we talked with Durham, and we moved those bus stops. So it's kind of a great tool now to utilize and look at it now that we have more data to play with, to say, hey, you know what, this maybe is not a great area for a bus stop. So we've moved it, and then I think that's helped with some of these numbers coming down as well, because kind of taking more of a proactive approach with it versus just watching the number continue to grow at a certain location over and over and over again. And Durham has been great with that as well, to make more accommodations, to make sure that we're getting the bus stop away from those type of situations.
And I know that the Titus High Street one was a very big one. Like, a lot of the people in that area were saying it's coming out on the wrong street, the bus is stopping in the wrong place, so then they're coming from the other side, and, the police moving it so quickly when people started bringing it to their attention was, a positive thing to work with the community, and it's been very well received, throughout the area and that whole big bus stop down there.
Yeah, we've tried to move them away from some traffic control device type of intersections. We try to get them far away from them, because sometimes we know that we started to see that when a light is red, everyone stopped, but then the light goes green, and people seem to forget that they were stopped there for another reason because of the bus stop, and then they start going through it. So we started to pull them back away from those type of lighted intersections, and we've seen some of those areas go down as well. So.
I think, Ms. Shea, did you have a question?
I actually have a few questions. The first is, in the event that a stop needed to get moved, is there a significant amount of students that it would have to, impact for that move to happen, or are we ranging this based on case by case, I guess is my question.
If it would depend on a case-by-case situation. Obviously, every bus stop has a different number of kids at it. Some bus stops may have one child at it. We look at it generally in the hopes of making sure that everybody is safe. Some instances, 9 out of 10 people may be satisfied, and one person unfortunately might be disappointed. It's tough to tell. Again, we're going through that whole protocol to make sure that the path that the student is taking is safe, and if that's the case, then usually we won't necessarily move a bus stop with 10 people at it for just one person. But if there was a safety reason, we would try to accommodate that child as best we could to make sure that maybe there was another additional bus stop that might be needed for that one specific person because of the particular path that they need to take.
I think from myself and with District 1, I struggle with the mile markers that we have, and I know that that's kind of coming from one end to the other. Usually grades, K through 5, it's 3/4 of a mile. If we have kids from 6 to 8, it's 1.5. Just because the street is deemed safe, because it's overly congested like it is in District 1, doesn't mean it's actually safe. How do we, as a committee and with the department, collaborate to ensure that we do have those kids that are in those highly dense populated areas are actually safe in those specific conditions that they have to walk to and from to school? Because District 1, we're kind of in this really weird predicament.
Luckily in District 1, you do have some sidewalks, so you have a good amount of sidewalks that can be utilized, which is helpful. But it's tough, again, to generally speak upon the whole thing without having a case-by-case situation for a particular student because again, various ages, various abilities, every road is different in town. You have to kind of take it one by one and look at them. And again, if that meant looking at a decent amount of them, then that's what it would take. And I don't think we'd have any opposition to that, just making sure that, again, everybody's safe. How far they have to walk in District 1 is definitely, you can get a lot further there than some of the other places more up north. But we don't necessarily, as a police department, we have no control over saying, how far is appropriate and what's not. That would be more of a global issue to discuss with the school to say, hey, 3/4 of a mile and a half is too far for a student to walk. And again, we would, if a student had to walk that distance, we would make sure that we're going through each of those roads on that path along the entire route to make sure that the path they have to take is safe.
Perfect, thank you.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much for coming out this evening. You provided a lot of informative and great information, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Next, student A appeal, discussion only, but only if requested. I think that is no action. Is that how I would say that one? No. Discussion and or vote to approve homeschool instruction request for 2025-26 school year. Do I have a motion to approve homeschool instruction?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Feather,
Second.
second by Ms. Smith. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes 6-0. Discussion and or vote to approve non-resident student tuition contract for the 2025-2026 school year. Ms. Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This tuition contract that we have, we've used in the previous years as well, and it aligns with our policy J17. We do have instances where maybe a student was perhaps in a Cumberland school and maybe moved to a different town. The parents have requested that the student finish or be educated in Cumberland. This allows that to happen with the parents paying a tuition or cost to Cumberland to educate their student. So that's what this is about. We did talk about it tonight in our fiscal meeting, and this did pass fiscal 3-0. I just want to let you know, though, that while it passed, we did talk about opportunities to perhaps look to enhance it. And to do that, we will have to work with policy. So I will be speaking to Mrs. Feather on it and seeing about getting J17 policy there so that we can fine tune that, because the cost can't just be about a standard education, because if there are changes with the standard education that we would incur further costs, we are going to have to come up with adaptability in these contracts. For now, this one in particular, for this one student, has been approved from fiscal. So for tonight, I would move passage of that.
Ms. Smith makes a motion to approve the non-resident student tuition contract for the 2025-2026 school year. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Dean. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes 6-0. Discussion and or vote to authorize this. Discussion and or vote to authorize the superintendent to bind the committee to change orders of up to $25,000 per change order on current construction projects, said authorization. Did I miss something? Shall be granted through December 30th, 2026, unless renewed or terminated by the committee. Pleasure of the committee. Ms. Smith.
I'm sorry, we have one in place already that we've used.
Each year, these expire. They're yearly for the past couple of years.
This seems like it's, we originally did this and put this in for smaller amounts, but then we did an emergency one during certain times when had to get things through. Maybe it was summer months or whatever it may be, so that you could do that while it comes to us. But I'm just trying to understand what the reasoning is to have it at this level and to continue this.
The current one would expire end of this month. So should there be a small $5,000 item, the idea would be, rather than, wait for the next meeting, I could act on it. Right now, we have no change orders in the works, nothing on the table. It's just something we've done the past couple of years.
And didn't we have it as a 5,000 all along?
I believe it was 25 past couple of years. Up to.
I'm not sure personally how I feel about it, so I don't know if we have to go and take a vote and then do a discussion or not. We're coming down to the end of our construction, and we have a big one, and being the chair of the fiscal subcommittee, I would feel much more comfortable to be able to see these in front of us and talk about them. I know there will be emergency times where we may have to have some kind of approval, and I would be willing to look at fine-tuning the language of this so that if there was an emergency where we were not able to bring a school committee meeting together or a fiscal meeting together. But I just think it's important that we have fiscal control and we also get to monitor everything. We've already seen that we've had a disconnect recently with the building committee to the school committee. I just want to make sure that we don't have that happen again.
Okay, my only question is, well, actually I have two questions. In the past, have we done this change order, the $25,000 change order for the other projects around town?
Yes, we have.
If we do it a different way, how does that impact getting the project done on time? Because we all know, come September 2027, we need to make sure that school's ready and those kids are in the building. So how would that impact that?
To channel Mr. Adams, it depends on what the change order may be, big, small, it really depends. Some things are emergencies, some things are not emergencies, but it would stop that aspect of it, whatever. I just can't tell you what it is, but we don't have any on the deck right now for BF. It's running pretty smoothly, and we have no change orders on the horizon.
Okay, and then so you can qualify an emergency versus a non-emergency?
Yes, we could.
Other discussion?
That is how we had it.
In the past, we've had it by emergency?
Right. The whole thing was because of the emergency and being able to make sure, because it was, I think we were hitting a point at one time that we were trying to get meetings together almost every week because there were change orders that had to get rushed through. And, we've gotten much better at it and we can foresee things better, but we decided that it was best to put an emergency type of authorization in place so that it could cover those situations.
Yeah, I would say, if memory serves, some were emergencies, but some were just routine change orders, a little of both, I think. But it didn't happen a lot. I don't remember a ton of these.
Miss Feather?
So I seem to remember what Ms. Smith is talking about. My brain is a little bit hazy on it, but I do seem to remember that we had a much smaller limit for a period of time. So I just started to look through our documentation, and I found that there was apparently one that I signed in 2021, and that was for $19,000. So I don't think that it's been throughout the whole construction phase. I don't think that it has been at the $25,000. I think that it might have changed in the past year or so. Need to look at some more documentation to see that. I'm wondering whether or not we can maybe postpone this to January so we can look at it a little bit more.
We certainly can.
So I'm hearing from the committee that we're going to table this agenda item? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to table discussion and or vote to authorize the superintendent to bind the committee to the change order of up to $25,000. I'm sorry, Mr. Dean?
No, I was asking him a question.
Oh, okay, sorry. Discussion and or vote to approve resolutions. Ms.
Thank you. So tonight, we did have resolutions, quite a few of them, so let me see if I can count, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 of them in total that we did discuss at our fiscal subcommittee. I do want to point out that 2 of these were tabled. Number 4, which is SCPR 12-2025-155, the flock safety platform. We had some questions that we just want to ensure that we are aligning with our police department in our town, so that one has been tabled. And we have also tabled 160. So number 9, SCPR 12-2025-160. We did not have the full invoice available to us, so we were not able to do a review on that. So, as for all of the other ones left, SCPR 12-2025-152 through 154, 156 through 159, 161 through 165. All of those were discussed, and they did pass fiscal subcommittee 3-0. And I would vote to, or make a motion to approve all of those with the 2 tabled.
Ms. Smith motions to approve resolutions SC-PR 12-2025-152 through 154, SC-PR 12-2025-156 through 159, SC-PR 12-2025-161 through 165. Do I have a second?
Second by Mr. Dean. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes 6-0. Discussion and a vote for approved payment of bills. Ms. Smith?
Yes, we had our monthly payment of the bills in the total amount of $2,702,308.05. Those bills were discussed in the fiscal subcommittee as well this evening, and we did pass that 3-0, so I would move passage as well.
Ms. Smith has made a motion to approve payment of the bills in the amount of $2,702,308.05. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Dean. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes 6-0. Old business. Discussion and a vote to approve the 2026 school committee meeting dates for public notice. Do I have a motion to approve the school committee meeting dates for 2026? Motion by Ms. Shea.
Second.
Second by Ms. Feather. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes 6-0. Discussion only, Transpart Group update on transportation and redistricting study. I am going to read something from Transpart regarding the update as of December 11th, 2025. Transpart will either be at the January meeting virtually or in person for questions, but I'm going to read the information that they provided us for this meeting since we are having a monthly update regarding Transpart. Transpart has completed its analysis of the Cumberland School Department's routing structure and methodology, transportation policy review, and route yield time and capacity analysis based on information gathered while our team was on site in October and from interviews with key district and Durham personnel. Transpar's route yield found that Cumberland's transportation system operates fairly efficiently, with most buses arriving on time, and time and capacity were used effectively within the confines of Cumberland's current transportation system. Buses that appear inefficient at first glance are mostly special education routes, which tend to be less efficient due to the highly specialized nature of those routes, are routes that must travel long distances to pick up students. While most buses arrive on time, there is currently very little time between school tiers. Tiers can be thought of as a system that allows one bus to pick up students for different schools, like elementary, then middle, then high school, by staggering each school's start time. Cumberland's school bell times are structured into 4 tiers. Despite the 4 distinct bell times, most of Durham's routes function as 3-tier routes due to the limited time between tiers. Additionally, there is no buffer between tiers to account for traffic, inclement weather, driver attendance challenges, or other incidents that may delay buses arriving at schools on time. The average route length is 23 minutes in the mornings and 21 minutes in the afternoons. There are 50 minutes available between tiers 1 and 2, 25 minutes between tiers 2 and 3, and 45 minutes between tiers 3 and 4. This lack of time between tiers limits the district's ability to pursue further efficiencies and cost reductions. Furthermore, the lack of time between tiers will be a consideration when we conduct the redistricting analysis during Phase 2 of this project. Overall, the Cumberland School Department's transportation system operates efficiently, and the district's policies are closely aligned with industry best practices. The relationship between the district and its transportation vendor, as well as Durham's openness and transparency during the process, should be commended. Finally, Transpart is on track to deliver its draft deliverable to the district in early 2026, and we look forward to sharing our findings. Once again, please let us know if you have questions, and our team would be happy to hop on a call to discuss them. So that is their update for December of this year. They, again, will be at the meeting in January to either be here virtually or in person. So if the committee has questions, whether they receive them from constituents or they have them, that's a great opportunity to produce and have those questions asked and answered. Anything you need right now from what I read? Okay. Next, Dr. Thornton, I do not think we need to go into executive session.
We do not.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Bacon. Second by Ms. Shea. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We adjourn tonight at 9:30 PM. Thank you and have a good night.